Thank you very much. Now, I'm a little bit thick, which you know. Just tell me, what is happening here? Has Jermeny Hunt found a load of money that we can now have because of Brexit and he's going to spend it? He doesn't look like the kind of guy. He didn't even believe in Brexit. What's going on?
Well, what we've got here is two things. First of all, the overarching ambition to get rid of all those EU rules, which supposedly are constraining us from doing what we'd like to do. Which is interesting. We'll be interested to see what happens when we do indeed sort of vote to abolish all those rules. There are 4,000 of them. Some of them are insignificant, but some are quite important. And then the second thing is, can we pick the important ones which might make a difference? And one of those is precisely the one that has to do with investment by insurance companies and pension funds. It's a rule which the EU, and we accepted, has put in place since 2016. And that rule is called Solvency II. It replaced, would you believe it, Solvency I, which had been around for quite some time. It's basically trying to tighten up the risks taken by precisely what we seem we want to abolish, the risks taken by insurance companies and pension funds, by making sure that this is properly calculated, that this is properly debated and also becomes quite transparent, and that the risks, therefore, of any money that we have put into insurance companies and pension funds is thereby reduced. It doesn't mean they can't invest in the areas that we'd like them to invest in, but there are risks attached, which means that their capital requirements are quite significant if they intend to do that. That is what Jermeny Hunt was to change.
So people are obsessed, and I can understand why people voted for Brexit, that they want to scrap any unnecessary EU-related rule and reg and go our own way. Jermeny Hunt here appears to have identified one, is doing it, and we might cash in as a result.
Yes, indeed. And what he hopes is that as a result of perhaps reducing some of those capital requirements, because obviously it's very costly if they're going to be investing in infrastructure projects that might be quite risky, then they have to put loads of money aside. Now, if you reduce that requirement, then perhaps they would be much more inclined to invest in those areas. But of course, at the end of the day, it increases the risk for those funds, one assumes, and therefore it increases the risks of all of us who put money into there. So you imagine, therefore, that there will be some sort of indemnity maybe that is given. You asked me to pull it apart a bit. How do you ensure that this long-term infrastructure projects, which very often go over budget, of course, as we know, are going to give the returns to those pension funds that they like to have? It makes sense because, of course, you know, our pension funds, we put the money in there for the long-term fund, long-term investments make sense. But if they are very risky, then our own investments, our pensions become risky too.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, very well explained. I even managed to get through my skull, and that takes some doing. So thank you very much. Vicky Pryce there, Chief Economic Advisor at the Centre for Economics and Business.